This Week in Startups is brought to you by AdRoll, the most widely used retargeting platform in the world with over 25,000 advertisers. Get started with a $100 credit at adroll.com/twist. And Audible.com, a leading provider of spoken audio information and entertainment. Listen to audiobooks whenever and wherever you want. Visit audible.com/twist for your free audiobook.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of This Week in Startups. I'm your host, angel investor, entrepreneur, and loudmouth Jason Calacanis. Yes, if you've been listening to the show, you know what we do here. We talk to entrepreneurs, we talk to investors about the world of entrepreneurship, technology, and startups. Today on the program, we have the winner of IBM's SmartCamp 2016, which was done in partnership with my event, the Launch Festival this year. And she has an amazing company called CarForce, which I knew, I had a premonition, Jessica, from the beginning that you would be a finalist. I didn't know if you'd win, because it was pretty stiff competition, but you wound up winning the IBM SmartCamp for 2015. 2015.
Yep.
Or is it 2016?
It's currently 2016, but it was for the 2015 year.
Got it. So it's sort of like the NBA season, 2015, 2016 kind of thing. So before we get into CarForce, when did you become aware of the SmartCamp event? How did you become aware of it? And then why did you decide to apply? Where were you when you heard about it? How did you decide to apply?
Yeah, it's actually a great story. No one's ever asked. So I went to a meetup in Austin to go support I went through the Seed Sumo Accelerator last summer.
Which accelerator?
Seed Sumo out of
Sumo.
Yep, out of Bryan, Texas.
Oh, cool.
And so it's
out of where, Texas?
Bryan, Texas, which
Bryan.
is
I never heard of this.
It's small.
Small place.
Yeah, but it's right close to College Station, Texas A&M.
Got it.
Gig 'em Aggies, like you get to be an Aggie when you're there by adoption. But anyway, the 7 teams that went through that accelerator, 3 of them had gotten invited to go pitch in Austin at a meetup. So I thought, well, I didn't get invited, but I'm going to tag along because I love doing that and learning. And I thought if I watch them pitch, I might actually learn something. So we pile into a car. It's about a 2-hour drive from College Station to Austin.
Wow.
So a little road trip of sorts. And we were teasing in the car that we were the 3 favorite startups of the summer from the Seed Sumo groups. We're like, we're all in a car together. We better not crash. So we get to Austin and the 3 other teams pitch. And then afterward, there's this man walking around representing IBM SmartCamp.
Got it.
And he starts talking to my fellow, Seed Sumo founders. And one of them goes, well, actually, she's part of Seed Sumo too. And I'm like, well, hello.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, all of you should apply. So I ended up applying to IBM SmartCamp because of just, again, being a tag-along. And then flash forward, we got picked as one of the top 5 for the entire state of Texas.
Wow.
And that's how IBM does their competition. You can think of it as like American Idol for startups.
Right.
Which is really
30
cool.
different cities.
Yes.
And they had, 5, 10 people compete in each city.
Yeah. For us, it was, I think they opened it up to hundreds to apply, and then they select the top 5 from the region. So I was honored at that point. I'm in the top 5 for Austin. And Austin's a really good place for entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So stiff competition there as well. So the guys at IBM were saying, well, whoever wins the Austin is going to win the whole thing for the year. And that was kind of the joke, because of course there's a lot of Texas pride. So anyway, I could ramble on for a while.
So you present in Austin and you win Austin.
Yes.
And that means you get to be a finalist. Mm-hmm. And there were, I don't know, how many finalists? 10, 20?
No, so there were 30 at that point.
30
yeah,
at that
so
point.
They do this competition in 30 different cities, really wherever there's a cloud computing presence for IBM.
Right.
And then I won Austin Entrepreneur of the Year. That's what that competition was. And they take those 30, and then you essentially compete against each other to pick the top 10.
Right.
And then you're like a global top 10 team. So you're like, woohoo.
Right.
And then with you, they basically say, hey, Jason, let's have the top 10 be sponsored to come out to Launch Scale.
Right.
So that's how I met you.
Right. So they brought the top 10 to Launch Scale. which was awesome. Yes. Then I met with you all, I had lunch. We talked about what it takes to build a great startup and what it takes to win the Launch Festival. I gave a bunch of notes to everybody, and I invited everybody to come to the Launch Festival.
Yes.
I'm sorry, to my Launch Incubator.
Yep.
And you actually came out and you sat in, I don't know, 2 or 3 classes.
I did too, because you had a Thursday cohort and a Wednesday cohort.
Yep.
And I wanted to watch both, because again, my tag along, strategy had paid off before, so I figured if I just tagged along, I might learn a thing or two. Which
weasel your way into like these meetings, just
all the time.
If you just show up, let people kick you out. It's like, I'm here.
I'm here, yeah.
Which was very smart because it impressed me that you had the chutzpah to show up, and a couple of other of the finalists came. But you did very well at the launch festival, and you were picked as one of the top 3. You presented on stage at the launch festival.
Yes.
And you got great feedback. People loved the business. And then you were during the finals, selected as the winner.
Yes.
And that was pretty exciting.
Huge honor. I mean, honestly, just to get on that stage is probably one of the coolest things. Actually, it is maybe the coolest thing I've ever done. But if I flash forward to when I'm 90-some years old and I'm looking back at life, presenting to on a stage with thousands of people in front of you, live, with a 4-minute time pressure bundle to explain everything that you've spent the last year building up. Talk about high pressure, high stakes, and just like a really high reward. So that was an amazing experience.
Got good feedback from the judges.
I did.
Yeah, they really liked the business. So let's talk a little bit about the business, because what people may or may not know is I did a deal with IBM because IBM came to me and said, hey, we care about startups. And I was like, really? Why do you care about startups? You're IBM. Like, aren't you like into big companies? Like, no, the innovation's going on there. We need to be involved with startups because the little ones become so big now, so fast. We want to be involved with them because we don't want to miss the next Uber or Thumbtack. We want to get to them early. I said, that seems like a logical thing. They said, well, we'll do this partnership with you for SmartCamp. I said, great. I said, what's the prize? They said, I don't know. What should the prize be? And I said, well, why don't we give $25,000 to whoever wins and they can join the incubator? Because that would be meaningful, I think, to a founder. So you won that, and you'll be coming to the launch incubator with CarForce this...
in 2 days.
In 2 days, actually. Yes. At the taping of this, you're going to come to week 0, which is really the week where we do all the presenting. But why don't you tell us a little bit about CarForce? What is CarForce, and why did you create it?
Yeah, today CarForce is really simple. I'll start by saying we are not building an everything for everyone company right now. I'm building something very specific for someone. So that's what I've spent my summer doing, is figuring out who's that someone and what is the something. And it sounds super, super reductionist maybe, but it gives me...
In a good way.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we are is we essentially say, hey, there's the Internet of Things, and it can be so inspiring, but I think distracting at the same time. What we do is we actually take information about a car's behavioral data. So really think of it as like, there's a lot of companies today that make the Fitbit for your car. So if you want to find out your car's health, you can go down to Best Buy, buy one of these devices, pop it into your car's port, and then you get information.
OBD port.
Yeah, exactly. Which stands for onboard diagnostic. So OBD. Like if people hear that and go, what does that mean? OBD. So it's an OBD port. It's existed since 1996. So the big question I get from people is, why today? Like, why is this a thing today when it wasn't for the last 20 years? Because it could have been. And it's data. So data streaming is a lot easier today and cheaper than it was in 96.
Right.
Kind of think of the dynamics there in the data world.
And there's this, I mean, people go to the Apple store or whatever, they have that automatic, which actually launched at the launch festival, I don't know, 4 years ago.
I think.
2 years ago? It may have been 3. But they launched that automatic, which was you just plug it in to the ODB, and I guess it syncs to your phone by Bluetooth.
Yep.
So it doesn't need to have its own Wi-Fi or LTE connection that you pay a monthly fee on.
Correct.
It just connects to your smartphone, which
Exactly.
really, if there wasn't a smartphone, there wouldn't be these ODB.
Correct.
What do you call it, a dongle?
Dongle. I mean, the names get kind of goofy. So yeah, the dongle is one of them.
Yeah.
Unit, people will call it that too. Whatever it is, basically a thumb drive for a car.
So you don't make that, you just buy that from other people.
Yes.
What do you do once that's plugged in? Who's your customer?
My customer is the dealership. And so that's, when you think about the world and technology, I think the U.S. vehicle franchise dealer specifically, franchise dealer is anyone that can sell a new car, whatever brand it is. They're the only folks in the country that have the authority to sell that car. A used car dealership called an independent dealership can't sell you a new car of whatever brand. They have to get a license for everyone. So that's our customer. And the reason they're our customer is because they're a really large group. They control roughly half of the $150 billion U.S. Parts and service economy in the U.S. I already said that. But the point is, no one's really thinking about solving problems for them for whatever reason. And I think maybe it's because a lot of us consumers, when you think about your relationship with your dealership, it might not be the most positive one. So when you're...
Yeah, it's kind of the worst experience in the world. Is,
Yes.
For my money has been, I think, some of the worst moments of my life were walking onto the car lot and having to deal with a car salesperson.
Yes.
That's why buying a Tesla is so nice. You just order it online and then you configure it and then they just drop it off.
Oh, no, it's beautiful.
No negotiation, no haggling.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think that's certainly happening. The world is kind of shifting more toward that, it's true price or one price, or on the sales side of the house. On the service side of the house, which is where we're innovating, is really where most dealerships make their business. 40 to 50% of their margin comes from service. But again, there aren't innovations, there isn't technology. And certainly if you walk into any dealership and you say, hey, how do you know when your customer's having an issue with their car? The answer is, well, we don't. We can guess based on how long it's been since they brought their car in. But end of the day, they're resorting to classic marketing campaigns, like most of the time paper flyers. And you've seen it, like you've gotten the, hey, Jason, come in for $19.99, maybe not with your Teslas, but if you have other cars, you've seen those. And so that's really how, the information era has really disrupted almost every industry, including automotive, but again, on the sales side, on the inventory side, not on the service side. And that's where we step in. So to put it succinctly, CarForce connects the car back to the dealership when the customer's at a point of need. So you basically aren't going to get hassled or bothered by your dealership, which you might be today on classic marketing schemes.
Unless they're calling you up on the phone.
Yeah, just to get you back in.
Haranguing you to get you back in. Here, what happens? It just sends an alert to them?
Yeah, it changes the dynamic. So you go from thinking of your dealership as a pest, potentially, to an ally. So we've got 300 folks on our platform today, 300 connected vehicle families in Houston. That's where we launched. And those folks basically, they think of this as like, how do I get this for free? Like, why am I so lucky? I mean, we've gotten that feedback from the consumers.
So what happens? The car needs an oil change or something's wrong with the engine. Instead of the engine light going off and me calling the dealer, it just sends an alert to the dealer through that ODB port dongle that's connected to my smartphone.
No. So even better than that. We actually have the next gen of these devices. We partnered with someone that makes next gen autonomous devices, which means as far as you're concerned as a consumer, it's set it and forget it. You don't have to download, pair anything.
Like a 3G, like a light connection in it?
Yeah. So basically it's you plug it in, plug and go, and then the data gets sent to our dashboard 24/7. So the moment that there's any kind of alert, and it can be something as simple as like, hey, by the way, your tire pressure is low. Like that's important to know. Yeah. Or, oh, by the way, I say that specifically at tire pressure example because you'd be surprised how many people drive around with the tire pressure light on their dashboard, not knowing, is that my engine that's going to blow up? Because those little icons are not very helpful.
Nobody looks at the manual. Nobody even knows you have a manual. All right, when we get back, I want to know how you make money from this because it's costing you money to put each one of these on.
Yes, it is.
I want to know how CarForce makes money, and I want to see the interface when we get back on This Week in Startups. Hey everybody, I'm really excited about our latest partner here on This Week in Startups. It's AdRoll, and they do retargeting. What is retargeting? You know when you visit a website and then you see the same ads over and over again as you travel through the web on different websites? That's retargeting. It happens to be wildly efficient for startups and big companies alike. Why? Because most people are window shoppers and they don't make a purchasing decision or sign up for your email newsletter or download your application on the first try. Of course not. Just think about it. You have to see something 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and then you go, oh yeah, I wanted to buy that. Oh yeah, I wanted to download that app. Oh yeah, I wanted to put my email into that newsletter and sign up. So if you know that visitors don't convert on the first try, then you need to try AdRoll. Go to adroll.com/twist and you'll get a $100 credit, and you'll learn about what retargeting is. And listen, I know about retargeting because we use it for our events now. If you come to one of our websites, we tell you about the launch festival for the next 2 or 3 months, and it really works. Companies like Pantheon and Dr. Martens and thousands of other emerging businesses are using it, including James Heller, who went through the launch incubator. He's from Rapify, and what he said was amazing. AdRoll is an integral part of our customer acquisition strategy, how they get customers in the door, because it allows them to continue to garner impressions long after the initial customer interaction. It's also one of the most cost-effective ways to bolster any integrated marketing strategy. AdRoll is the best retargeting platform, period. That's according to James Heller, the founder of Rapify, which came to our incubator and raised a lot of money and did very well for themselves. Now, AdRoll uses machine learning and data science so that you're bidding on ads quickly and efficiently. That means your budget is going to go much further. There's no wasted ad spend, and it's so easy to use. They have 24/7 support, and they access all the major ad exchanges, including Facebook and Google, as you would expect. So you're going to reach your customers across all devices, all browsers, and all apps with AdRoll. Once again, please go to adroll.com/twist and try it out. You'll get a $100 credit, which is incredibly generous. They're doing that for the startups who listen to this program. Adroll.com/twist, adroll.com/twist, and go ahead and say thank you and welcome to the This Week in Startups family to AdRoll. Okay, let's get back to this amazing episode. Hey everybody, welcome back to This Week in Startups. I'm your host, Jason Calacanis, and today on the program, Jessica Laura is with us. We call her Jess. She won IBM SmartCamp for 2015, and she is coming to the Launch Incubator's 4th class, which is starting this week, and getting a $25K investment for myself, and we'll graduate in the summer at the Launch Angel Summit, which will be kind of fun, which is going to be occurring in Napa at a really elite, cool hotel. So you're going to, when you graduate, you're going to go up to Napa. Ooh. And then hang out and go on a hike with 50 angel investors, maybe go clay pigeon shooting and play some poker. And
we get to shoot things.
Yeah, we're going to shoot things. Well, I want to get clay pigeon shooting going. It's a very fancy, cool thing to do. It's not like a machine gun. It's just you take your, target range. Yeah. It's fun. But anyway, that's how this class is going to go. And we'll have our petanque tournament on Bastille Day. You can see that at launchangelsummit.com. The CarForce.com is where you can see CarForce, and the CarForce on Twitter. The CarForce Awakens wasn't available, obviously.
That's funny. I like that.
You haven't gotten that one yet.
No.
So show me the product here, and how do you make money? Because when I saw this, I have to be honest, I was like, okay, this is pretty simple.
It is. It's very
pretty simple. But then I just thought to myself, elegantly simple and valuable. So I thought, wow, if I was a consumer, I would pay, I don't know, what do these things cost? $50, $100 to install?
They cost anywhere between $100 to $200, depending on the manufacturer and the level of tech.
I would check off the box when I was buying the car, like, do you want to? So I would pay for it as a consumer, but I don't know if all consumers would pay for that.
Correct.
So then I just thought about the dealer, and I was like, well, how much money does a dealer make off the average person?
Yes.
Would they be able to pay for the cost of this over 5 years, which would be $20 or $30 a year? Is that how you do it? Who pays?
So our customer is the dealership.
Okay.
And we thought about that a lot. We thought, is our customer the consumer? Because you can think of this as a two-sided marketplace. We're connecting dealership to consumer, and we stand in the middle and basically act as the conduit of that information. So either A, I can say, Mr. Consumer, you're getting this amazing 24/7, almost like an angel looking over your car, making sure it's, or like a dad, right? Like all of us when we were in high school had that dad that looked at our car and said, hey, Jesse, your car's running low on blah, blah, blah. You need to do X, Y, and Z, or sometimes did it for us. So this kind of becomes that dad in a sense for your car. So you could argue, well, that's really valuable for the consumer, so they should pay for it. And then we found there are customers that do care about that, but it's so next level, I think, that the folks that are wealthier and that are maybe tech enthusiasts, and savvy, they'll go for it, they'll pay. But we really, at least for me, like my roots are very simple, like my product. Yeah. So I just wanted to create something that was available for the masses.
Right.
And so really then I started looking at, well, what about the other party? The other party here is the dealership. Should the dealership pay for it? And what's their motivation? So we interviewed a bunch of people. The answer is yes, the dealership will pay because there's amazing ROI for them. If they can actually create a strong glue to keep their customers loyal to themselves. You think about the average town like San Francisco, there's probably 3, 4, 5 Toyotas within the San Francisco area. So why would you as a customer, if you own a Toyota, go to one versus the other? Toyota, the brand's happy if you go to any of them, but the dealership that sold you the car, he wants to make sure you go back to his Toyota. So that's important, and they're willing to pay a price for that, and that's how we make our money.
And so you just charge them $10 a car per month or something, or $20 a car per month, something in that
somewhere,
range?
Depending on the volume of the dealership, it's between 10 to 20. Today it's 15, just with the customer that we started.
And so they have to have a car come back once and it breaks even because they probably make $300 or $400 a visit?
Yes, so that's a great question. When we modeled this out, you can imagine me sitting behind spreadsheets, and I love spreadsheets and data.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so I was like, oh my God, data. So as I'm sitting there doing the calculations, I'm going, oh, awesome. So if one person comes back 1.7 times, it's a very inexact number. At the current repair order, it's called an RO. Basically how much you spend, what's your total bill out the door. For service, the current on average is $250 across any franchise dealership across the country. So I figured and then you factor for a 25% profit margin, which is very conservative, average is 40 to 50%. But I ran those numbers and I thought, okay, to get the dealer to break even, that customer has to come back 1.7 times with those figures. What we've actually found in the first 90 days of running the program, we launched December 8th, is it's much less than that. The average repair order actually shot up from $250 to $532.
Why did it go up? Because they have more data and they know what's wrong with the car?
Yeah, so now when you think about the dealership, time and availability of mechanics, the service techs that fix the cars, and also the number of service bays where the cars can go parked into, it's really an allocation problem. So it's ROI, right? It's not ROI just on our product, but it's really time ROI. Like how much time are they investing, and are they investing in the right things? So are they bringing in the right customers that are the highest ROI? Like any kind of alignment is high ROI. They can do it really quickly, and there's a lot of money for it. So it's really us giving them insights as to what those jobs are, so that they're not just bringing in people for $40 oil and filter changes, blocking their service bays, because again, that's opportunity cost. They're taking those hours and allocating them to smarter things that are better for them. So that's really it's a long-winded answer, but it's why.
Yeah, so when they're paying for these mechanics to be there, they're paying for the bays, they might be able to bring cars in at a different time,
Yes,
et cetera. And then if people, are these sometimes covered under warranty and they get paid by Toyota as opposed to by the customer in some cases?
Yeah, so that's both. And that's actually a really good question as far as profitability. Yeah. So there's really, you can think of the tiers of customers falling into 3 buckets. First year car buyer, so the car is between 0 to 1 year old, like you just bought a 2016 car. There's monetization at different levels there for the service shop. Second bucket is in warranty cars. So largely speaking, there's still money to be made, but it's not as high of a premium. And then there's out of warranty. So actually the older cars, and that's a question I get often is, well, aren't all cars going to have telematics embedded in them? So who cares? Well, as it turns out, the cars that are on the road today are the most premium cars in terms of getting them back into the dealership. And also when you think about it, they're the most likely to convert and buy another car because the car is now aging, right? Like on average.
So you might get them to give the car back.
Yes.
And you get to resell it.
Yes.
And you get to put them in a new car.
Yes.
So this building trust with the consumer, it's almost like where we started the conversation was, I really don't like going there.
Yes.
Now I can like going there because it's going to be in my best interest to go, and they're not hard selling me. And we all know that the light went off and the reading says X, Y, and Z.
Correct.
Does the consumer see the actual readings or no?
Not today.
Not today.
But if maybe after launch incubator, we'll have attracted hundreds of developers to our platform.
Yeah.
So, but I tease, but yes, that is something we want to do. Part of our value prop to the consumer and why this has gone really successfully with our first launch, we had a 93% acceptance rate. So this is Baker Nissan, that's our first customer, saying, hey, would you like to have this in your car? You have to sign a consent saying that you're willing to share data with CarForce. It's this third party. Now, my fear was that people would say, no, thank you. I don't want to share my data about my car to anyone.
Yeah.
But 93% of our consumers said, yeah, absolutely. What's the catch?
What's the downside?
Yeah. And so I think, again, it's about being able to have a trusted ally, which is this third-party CarForce entity that isn't just making up issues. Not that your dealership would make up issues, but even if there's kind of a weird...
That's always in the back of people's head, is that I'm going to get ripped off and I'm going to come in and they're going to... Because you see these like eyewitness local news reports where like they bring it in, they say, I heard something, and then they put cameras in, the person doesn't replace the carburetor and they bust them for not replacing the carburetor. Or they say they replaced and they didn't. So you are this third party that will then ultimately be able to confirm, hey, there's something wrong with your spark plug.
Correct.
Number 7. everybody knows this, because you could just send an email to both parties. You could actually CC them on each other.
Yes. And that's where we're headed
That's
right now.
what I would do. I would CC on an email. Like if I got an email that said like, by the way, in your Benz, like there's something wrong with the, a headlamp's out and your spark plug's not working. You should bring it in for service. But it had like, service at Mercedes San Francisco, and I was CC'd on it, and I could hit reply, and they reply to me, hey, would Tuesday work, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be so nice.
And it's so easy to implement.
Yeah.
With Twilio integrations and companies like that, it can be as simple as we can make it look like your actual service advisor is the one that sent you the notification.
For sure.
And then it's like, hey, Jason, reply 1 to confirm 11 a.m. tomorrow for a car drop-off. Done. And then we CC the service advisor.
Right.
So this is where we're headed. Again, to your point, we started, you'll see the dashboard. It's, maybe that's a good segue for it.
Yeah.
Super simple. Today, it's we just actually launched email notifications to the service advisor.
Great.
So now they get okay, something's happening. Let me pick up the phone versus.
Yeah, show us that.
Yeah. All right. So here we go. So we're about to
I'm
log
hoping
in.
nobody's confidential data is in here.
Names, but we actually scrubbed the PII, so you won't see
good.
telephone
Good.
numbers, and the folks at home can't start bothering my customers. This is
good.
live data, by the way, so I'm signing in as Luis. He's the fixed operations, and that means the guy that's basically running the collision, the parts, and the service department at a given dealership. So he's the director of fixed operations at Baker Nissan. He logs in, and there's really a couple things that he does on a daily basis. So our customers are actually logging in multiple times a day. These are our key performance indicators. This first one, it says 14 RO opportunities, and RO is a repair order. Dealership lingo, build it to what your customer speaks and understands. So it's an RO. So there are 14 repair order opportunities, meaning 14 cars that are having issues. There's 22 alerts across those 14 cars. And in totality, and by the way, this is pretty conservative, and I'll explain why in a second, but this is the potential repair order value. So if the dealership actually acts on this information, and that's a big if, because maybe they're lazy and they don't, but if they act on this information, they can bring in $8,000 of incremental service work this right now, today, which is really exciting because this is also stuff that could walk and go to the nearest Quick Lube or Jiffy or whatever it is. So we're giving them information. So they have right of first refusal. It's basically control your own destiny. You want these customers, here you go.
Well, it's great also because the owner of the business has insight where if they're not addressing it, he or she can come down and say, hey, what's going on here? Like, let's get on this.
Absolutely. And that's actually one of our next highly demanded features is the general manager of the store looked at this and goes, well, how do I know, that's my Texan accent, by the way, how do I know which of these customers has already been called on? Like, now you got a CRM system. Exactly.
So you reply and all the threaded messages are there. Did they reply? Did they open the email?
Yeah, and this can start becoming a Salesforce for car service dealerships.
Right.
So the possibilities just get really exciting, but it's about really.
Right. What about privacy? Because now the thing that makes me a little nervous is I know that these ODB ports can also do GPS and location.
Yes.
Do the ones you use do that? Do you activate it? Do you deactivate it? What do you do?
Yep.
And does it know my speed? Does it know if I'm speeding?
It does.
Or driving erratically?
Oh yeah.
Oh, so.
Yes and no. The dealership does not know those things. The dealership only knows what you're seeing here on the screen.
Got it.
Me, as the owner of CarForce, if I want to look behind the scenes and do a query for all those things and find bad drivers and build an algo for it, I can do that. But that's all kind of my long-term big data play. Short-term is just build exactly what the consumer needs, or my customer, which is the dealership. Dealership doesn't need to know where you are. That's a private, the consumer has consented to it, but why? Why, what's the use case for it? That's just weird.
No, it's just weird.
Yeah, it is.
Because you could have some weird, what you have to do is you have to think about the worst behavior that could happen.
Yes.
You could have somebody who's a sales executive or service person stalk a woman who has a car. I guess it could happen the other way too, but generally speaking.
Most service advisors are men, and a lot of the consumers that go to franchise dealerships are women.
Right.
So yes, trust me, being a woman, that's one of the first things I thought about is, do I want a guy to know exactly where I am at all times? No.
Of course not. Very dangerous location information.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have that. You could scrub it from your database. You could not keep it in your database. You could deactivate that feature, I'm sure, at some point.
And there's actually some really good use cases for information that we're thinking through. Like, for example, one of the most expensive tech things that dealerships can do today, if they want to, they can spend several $1,000s on implementing an RFID tag reader. And all it does, I kid you not, is just go, Jason is now on the lot. And then the dealership goes, oh, Jason's on the lot. And so then when you get there and park your car, you can go, well, hello, like people will greet you and it sounds like they know you and you get this personal experience. It's super simple to do with geofencing. Right. So that's one of those use cases where we can use the information behind the scenes.
Got it.
Without actually telling the dealership where you are at all times. Just when
okay, that's clever because it's like, hey, welcome back to the lot, Jason.
Yes.
We know you bought the car in this time period. We know it's got this many miles on it.
Yeah.
How do you like it? Whatever.
Yeah.
And you can do some interesting things like, hey, congratulations on hitting 20,000 miles.
Yes.
We'd like to give you some new floor mats or come on into the dealership. We'll show you this new version.
There's so many things that you can do once you've actually got the step one is just really building the information highway. Step two is doing really fun things with it.
I'd like to know the resale value of my car and that kind of stuff. So like, how you have Zillow make me move? Like if I had the car, you could basically just tell me as a dealership, like, hey, you have 50,000 miles. Yeah. This would be a good time to sell your car. It's a low mile car. This is your expected trade-in value. That's a
big business. Absolutely.
Yeah. Just telling me what the car's worth and like making it one click easy for me to trade it in.
Yep.
Because, like you said, it's like going to the lot. If I can not talk to somebody, that's my goal.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too is believability. I had a friend, hedge fund manager, really smart woman, went to Stanford with her, yet she was boggled by how on earth could her Mercedes dealer offer her to get into a brand new Mercedes for the same fixed price, like financing. Right. And so I was like, you're in finance, you're highly educated, and yet there's still that like, wait a second.
How is this even possible?
Yeah.
All right. When we get back from the next commercial break, I want to talk to you a little bit about what you hope to get out of the incubator and what the next steps will be for CarForce when we get back on This Week in Startups. I'll just do 5 more minutes, Jackie. Yep. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to This Week in Startups. I'm your host, Jason Calacanis. Today on the program, Jessica Laura, we know her as Jess, who won the IBM SmartCamp 2015 competition for the IBM Global Entrepreneur of the Year at the Launch Festival. And she is going to be coming to the Launch Festival. What do you hope to get out of the 12 weeks in the... I'm sorry, you're coming to the Launch Incubator. What do you hope to get out of the Launch Incubator? You've been to it for a couple classes. What's your goal? You have a goal, if we're sitting here in the fall of 2016, where would you like the company to be?
Yes. So I've got a multi-part answer to that. The first one is if we're sitting here July 14th, which is our graduation day, and I haven't sold into 3 additional stores, I'll think of myself as having failed my own goal. So I have a very precise goal. And quite frankly, for no other reason other than that's my break even to pay my employees. So once I get that much, it amounts to about 20K MRR. Then I can
monthly recurring revenue.
Yes, monthly recurring revenue. Once I get there, I'll be able to pay folks, which is very important for employee
Stability.
retention.
Yeah, yes, employee retention, paying them.
Yes,
it works out well.
Passion goes so far, and then people need to pay bills.
Right.
So that's goal number 1. Like that is my every day. What did I do today that helped me get to that? Focus, by the way, you'll learn like a pit bull.
Yeah.
I am anyway. So it's like, boom.
Yeah, where'd you get that from?
I know.
I'm a pretty good reader of people. I could tell that you had a really, really good level of focus. What do you attribute that to? Previous success in life came from being focused?
Yeah, no.
Or somebody told you focus at some point?
No, I think honestly it's when you've got limited resources, which I had growing up, you have to be focused on tactics to get from A to B.
Yeah.
Like you can't squander. Recession kind of helped out as well with that mentality.
People are sometimes overthinking. What I like about you as an entrepreneur is you're very focused on the basics.
Yes, absolutely.
And getting those things checked off. People get very distracted. And you know what? If you don't become sustainable,
absolutely,
and have revenue coming in every month, well, you might go away. And that's one of the nice things about a monthly reoccurring business, a SaaS business like this.
Yep.
It's not like they're going to rip out. If you wind up having 1,000 cars with this for $20 a month or 2,000 cars at $15 a month, you're going to be profitable.
Yes.
And what are the chances that 5 dealerships are going to rip out 2,000 ODB ports? That it's not going to happen.
No, and that's the nice thing about this business, automotive, is it's an evergreen. So for example, once you're an Auto Trader customer, you keep being an Auto Trader customer from now until the end of time. Same with cars.com. I came from eBay Motors. You see the same customer base year on, year on, year on. And so it's really hard to penetrate that because it's a very closed group, and there's a lot of trust to bring on new technology. But once you do, then people are very loyal to it. And so that's really what we're excited about. I've been told, go ahead.
How much did it cost you to get here? How much did you have to invest to get to this point in time?
I thought you meant physically today. I was like,
no,
it was a $39 Frontier Airlines flight.
Frontier, yeah. It made it.
Yeah, that's right. I'm here. So how much did it cost? I think we've put in about, if I don't include my own, I actually sold a lot of my eBay stock. If it gives you any sense of how much I care about this. It's
You're invested.
I'm in, got to pay the mortgage. And investor money, I'll tell you how much we've raised.
Yeah.
So we've raised 215. There's 85 left in the bank, and that's probably the easiest read in terms of money.
So $130,000 invested to get here, which is pretty amazing in terms of capital efficiency. You got to revenue.
Yes.
After $100,000, it can be done.
That's good. It's helpful to hear your perspective because I think of it as, holy smokes, when do we make more?
Time to revenue is one number, and then time to break even is the next.
Yep.
I can't tell you how many startups I invest in that never get to revenue.
Oh, dear.
And they're afraid of turning on revenue, and they think about the next 5 features, but they don't think about the feature of turning users into customers. You need to have customers at some point.
I met with a VC recently who told me that he thought I lacked vision. And by the way...
really? A VC said that?
Yep. I'm super competitive, if you haven't noticed that already. So when he said that, I was like, how dare you? But here's why. Because I do talk about tactics, and I talk about my next milestone and my path to get to that next milestone. And I think he misinterpreted that as me lacking. It's like when you're hiking, right? Like if you're hiking, you've got a summit that you're walking toward, you don't just focus on the summit because you're going to fall off a cliff.
Right.
Like you focus on the next place that's going to get you to the next vantage point. And that's how I talk. But I think he heard me talking about the next little mini thing, and he was just like, you don't have a summit.
That's interesting.
Yeah. That's interesting
I wonder why
feedback.
somebody would say that, though.
Probably
I mean, I would not say you lack vision. What I might say is the business, the way I would phrase it. Sometimes VCs get a little too casual. I'm always, because I was an entrepreneur, I'm very careful with how I say things to people. Like I might say, this is, right now the business has a total addressable market of X. Have you thought about a way to make it 10X?
Right.
Like
he may have said something very polite and diplomatic like that, but because the company is at the stage that it's in, I and the company are one and the same in my mind, and it's really hard to break it apart. It's like, you hated my baby, how dare you? But it's helpful, actually. I learned from criticism, so I have taken that to heart. So you asked goals. So one goal is just getting into 3 stores. The second one is learning how
And you're in one now?
I'm in one,
So
with
2 to go.
300 live consumers, so it's
amazing.
not bad. Yeah,
you're
not
starting
bad
to
at
get
all.
data.
Yes, absolutely, which we saw a little bit ago. The second one is learning how to speak investor talk, which is, I think, having someone candid like yourself telling me, hey, when they said this is what they meant. There's a translation that goes on there.
Yeah.
I'm not
anything other than a term sheet means we're not interested.
Right. Exactly.
Let's keep the dialogue open means we're not investing.
Yep.
Wow, amazing progress means we're not investing. So I can't tell you how many entrepreneurs I've had that they come out of a meeting and they're like, oh my God, we're really close to getting this investor. I'm like, did they give you a term sheet? Did they ask you what your valuation is? Did they give you a number that they want to invest? And if they don't give you a term sheet, they're not investing.
Right.
If they're investing, they send a term sheet. Or they tell you, and just ask them point blank, how much would you like to invest?
Yes.
And they say, I have to think about it. And okay, that's a no.
And thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's helpful. So probably those are the 2 goals. The other one that I'm really thinking about is how do I create a competitive moat around my business? I've got several ideas, and I've been kind of crowdsourcing answers to that amongst people that I think are smarter than myself. There's, again, a couple sort of themes that I keep hearing, but that's one thing I'm probably going to lean on you and the incubator folks this summer.
I'll have to think about that one. I don't have one off the top of my head, but clearly, installing these items and owning a large number of those and having a cheap, affordable solution that you can deploy quickly. Like if you could get those things from $100, $200 down to $20 and have a special purpose-built one for you, that would be pretty interesting. What would it cost to design your own that was like super affordable? I don't know.
Well, I think I've heard people talk about creating, like having, in fact, I heard this at Launch Scale. One of your speakers actually, he talked about fans, creating a fan base in your first 50 anchor tenants, customers. And when you think about dealerships, it's hard to think of them as fanatical or fans. Like you typically think of consumers and bloggers and, social media. That's not how you think of dealerships. But the point is they actually are. Like when they take something on, they'll become your biggest evangelist or your biggest detractor if you screw it up.
Yeah.
So there's really no wiggle room. Like this business will flourish or it will tank.
Yeah. If you get them going to the Toyota Symposium in Hawaii and there's 50 other dealers there and they say, like, this has been amazing for us, you should get this.
Absolutely.
Like, that's better than any salesperson calling them.
Precisely.
All right, listen, I'm really looking forward to you coming to the Launch Incubator. Congratulations on winning the IBM SmartCamp for 2015 at the Launch Festival, and you're going to have a great summer, and it'll be fun to have you every week come in, and we're going to work on it together and try to make a business here, try to make a little bit of money. That's it. I'm super excited. All right. Change the world. Exactly. Everybody follow the CarForce on Twitter and go visit thecarforce.com, and we'll be right back. Hey, everybody, let me tell you about one of my favorite services in the world. It's called Audible.com, and you know it. It is awesome because I like to get smart. If you find somebody who is smart in the world and successful, and you ask them, what books have you read recently? They're going to tell you. And I can tell you 100% of the time that I've met smart people in my life, successful people, they read books. Why? Because books are just this great repository of knowledge. And, there's so many books published right now. But I have little secrets to find the best books. And one of them is Audible, because the reviews on Audible, I have to tell you, I go to the Audible website, I look at the reviews, I look at the number of stars. It is scary how accurate it is. I told you about some of the other books I'm listening to, like Building Great Sentences, The Hobbit, and The Man Who Knew Infinity. Really great books. But today I want to tell you about Smarter, Faster, and Better, which is by Charles Duhigg. You may remember him because he did that book, The Power of Habit. He built off that success, and now he's doing a book called Smarter, Faster, Better, which I'm halfway through, and it is amazing. It is really about being productive. And he talks to CEOs and generals and FBI agents and pilots and Broadway songwriters. He really just gets into detail about how to be productive in your life. The book, so far, I'm halfway through it, so I'm not going to give any spoilers. It is just fantastic, and I'm like, literally, they have a great feature inside of Audible, which is you can do a bookmark. You can literally say, I want to bookmark this place. And then what I do is when I get back to my desk, I take out my phone and I look at my bookmarks and I think about it. And sometimes I write blog posts based on that. Sometimes I talk to my team. Sometimes I'll talk to a startup about it. I just find all this great stuff. The other thing I've been listening to is Neil Postman's Amusing Ourselves to Death, which is absolutely fantastic. That's another great read. And it's a quick one, too. I have the Platinum account on Audible, but you can go to audible.com/twist, audible.com/twist, and get a 30-day trial membership. And you will get my book of the week for free, which is, of course, Smarter, Faster, and Better, The Secrets of Being Productive in Life and Business. And we all want to be more productive. And I tell you what, I'm always going on my hikes. Now you see me on my Instagram, my Facebook. I'm going out hiking. I go out hiking with my daughter. And I just go for a nice long hike, do it for about 2 hours. I listen to 2 hours of an audiobook. I'm driving back and forth in the valley. Instead of wasting that time listening to music, I am digging down and doubling down on audiobooks. I just love Audible. And they've been a great partner of ours. So audible.com/twist, audible.com/twist. Get your 30-day free trial membership and do what I do, which is go to the top of the rankings, look at all the nonfiction books, look at the fiction books, and just don't even think about it. Just order 10 books at a time. That's what I do. I literally will just pick 3, 4, 5, 10 books, fill up my library, and then it's synced on my iPad, synced on my phone. I just love it. Audible is everywhere. You can listen to it in the car, on your phone, iPad, etc. You know the deal. And go ahead and check out my pick of the week, The Power of Habit. Yes, from the author of Power of Habit, Smarter, Faster, Better, Charles Duhigg. And The Power of Habit is also very good too. But I think Charles Duhigg is getting better. And Emmy Award-winning producer Jackie, let's get Charles Duhigg on the program. Okay, let's get back to this amazing episode. All right, everybody, welcome back to This Week in Startups. We are talking to the top winners of the IBM SmartCamp competition that we did at this year's launch festival. We had CarForce on earlier, and now we're talking to Mike Holt, who was with gridComm, which was one of the 3 finalists. And gridComm is just a super fascinating company that's doing something I think is just crazy brilliant. And I've got the founder and CEO, Mike Holt, with us. Go ahead and check out gridcomm-plc.com and at gridcomm on Twitter, GRIDCOMM. And Mike, welcome to the program. How are you?
Great. Thank you, Jason.
Tell us a little bit about what gridComm is and how you came up with the idea.
Yeah, great. So gridComm basically creates a network, a data network over a city's power lines, and then uses that network to control the streetlights. Once we have that network in place, we can connect sensors throughout a city, making smart cities smarter, also saving cities millions of dollars. And how we came up with this, we actually all worked together in a previous company doing data communications over power lines. And a very specialized area, very interesting, and we said, wow, it'd be really interesting if we use this for what we see as one of the biggest IoT markets in the world. There are a billion streetlights in the world, so let's do an application for that, a system for that, instead of just delivering data.
So how does it work? Do you sell street lamps, or do you retrofit existing street lamps?
We actually don't do either, although we do that both with our partners. So we typically partner with streetlight manufacturers. They're essentially our channel. They may be streetlight maintainers as well. And so they're the ones that physically install our devices. And we provide the devices to those guys. Essentially, a streetlight maker is a light on a stick. Not a lot of differentiation. You install our box, and suddenly they're selling a smart streetlight, a connected streetlight solution. So we work together to make that happen, and jointly then sell to cities and private companies.
And what of connecting a streetlight to a grid? Is it what benefit does one get by making an intelligent streetlight? You can already turn them on and off, I suppose, on timers and stuff like that. Is this just about remotely turning them on and off? What is the point of the box that you add to the light on a stick?
Yeah, so it's actually that and much, much more. There are 3 benefits that people are really looking for. One is saving money, saving electricity costs. 2 is predictive maintenance. And finally, cities are looking to create a network of sensors. How do you deploy hundreds of thousands of sensors across the city? You need the infrastructure. We provide that infrastructure. So it's those 3 things.
What are the sensors for? I mean, it's just words. Like I'm going to put sensors all over my city, but for what goal? What is the goal of having sensors, and what type of sensors? Be more specific.
Yeah, so let's get specific. So first on the energy savings, then the predictive maintenance, and then the sensor part of it. So cities use about 40% of their electricity budget to light the streets. So it's a big deal. Millions of dollars. A typical city, 100,000 streetlights, spends about $2 million a month to light the streets. So it's a big number. And if you can control that intelligently, you can save a lot of money. And the way you control it intelligently is by setting optimal dimming levels. Okay, on and off is a good start, but if you can dim it, you run the streetlight at 70% or 67%, and you do that in an intelligent way based on the timing. That can be about the ambient light. Is there billboards around that light up the street and you don't need it on all the time? Is it maybe it's about weather changes for these streetlights? Now these streetlights are individually IP addressable, so you control them individually. That gives you the ability to optimize. Add some analytics, some real smarts about what's going on in that part of the city. Crime statistics, for example, or traffic, or number of people, and you can be very, very smart in the way you dim the streetlight. That saves money. That's one. And then number 2 is predictive maintenance. So right now what cities do generally is they drive around at night and look for this burned out streetlights. Very reactive. We're like the Fitbit for streetlights. We measure the vital signs, the voltage, the current, the burn hours, all of this stuff real time. We can predict when the streetlights will fail. And with good analytics, we can get even smarter about that. So cities know in advance when a streetlight will fail and schedule it for repair. And then finally, specifics on the sensors. So we don't always know because we're really installing the infrastructure. There's many different IoT applications cities want to install. Street light or parking monitoring. We provide the infrastructure to do that. Connect your sensors. You got them all delivering data.
How does it work, and what does it look like?
Am I on video here? This is the controller box, and you simply install this box into every street light that's in a city. Open the little door on the bottom of the street light, plug this in. This box contains a module. This is our module. This module contains our chip, and that's what communicates data over the power line. It's a pretty smart chip because what it does is it adapts to changes on noise conditions on the power lines. It's actually hard to communicate data over power lines. We adapt all those noise changes real time. And then there's network software that creates a network, just like your computer network. So now you have all these street lights connected together into a network, and now you can control them. So I can go to the computer here and show you an example. This is our software. So this is what a city command center sees. They see the number of street lights installed, how much money they're saving, CO2 emissions. They see the amount of electricity that they're using real time. And then they see this list of street lights that need to be replaced even before they fail. And that gets downloaded then into the smartphone of the repair people. They can then scan the QR code on the street light, install and register a new street light on the network, and now it can be controlled. And once it's able to be controlled from the city command center, it can be turned on and off. We've got an example here in the demo, streetlight in our office, and it can be dimmed. So by setting the dimming level, they save money. And then we combine analytics. In this case, we're combining crime and accident rates, and they're dropping. And as a result, the dimming levels can be increased. And so this is just an example of how this would be used to set optimal dimming levels in the city.
If a city had a highway that wasn't used very often, between midnight and 5 a.m., they could dim the lights to 50% and save all that money. If they had an area that was a high crime area, they could put the lights on 100% and just make it, look like the daytime.
And even smarter than that, right? Absolutely that. But maybe they've got a highway that isn't well traveled and they want to dim at a certain level between, like you said, 7 p.m. and 5 a.m. But maybe there's a certain time, maybe from 11:59 to 2:03 a.m. when they want to have a higher level of lighting because there are clouds that come in, right? There's all kinds of other conditions real time that can be adapted to as opposed to just static. The other things, in a lot of cases, cities want to maintain a standard lighting level. It's not about dropping it or increasing. In some cases it is, but a standard lighting level. And the way LED lights work is when they're new, they use the same amount of they put out the same amount of light at 100% level or 70%. So you can maintain the same lighting level by operating the lights at 70%. So you save 30% of $30% of your $2 million a month if you had all LED street lights instantly, without changing the lighting level. Now, at some point, you're going to have to ramp that back up because the profile changes. So even those conditions are what we manage. And this is these street lights. It's also any street light. Old street lights upgraded as well.
And you did a big installation in Jakarta, is that correct?
Yeah, so we're in the middle of that, actually. It's a bit of a process. Jakarta has 300,000 streetlights now. They're in the process of installing about 150, and we're in the middle of installing with our partners. Our partners actually do the installations, 50,000 streetlights. $100 a streetlight for the box that this box I showed you, and the network. And so for us, that's a $5 million deal. That's been very successful. Jakarta actually is a really tough place in a way to communicate data over power lines because there's just a lot of noise, electrical noise on the power lines. And we find that this is true in a lot of cities in Asia, and that's the differentiation that we have, is we do that very, very reliably. There's technology that we use that makes that very reliable. So we work very well in places like Jakarta. And the result is other cities in Indonesia are now picking this up. We're in trials in 5 other cities in Indonesia, and now in other places like Singapore and Moscow, in Nanning, China, we have a deployment. So we're starting to deploy in these Asian cities. And the way the numbers work is this. Each of the cities has typically 100,000 streetlights, maybe more like Jakarta. They spend maybe $25 million a year on electricity. They can reduce that by maybe 40%. We give them a payback period of about 16 months. So it's pretty big numbers. The result is really every smart city, I think every city has a smart city initiative. And every smart city initiative has a streetlight initiative because of the numbers. And so with that, each city that we have in trial, by no means are these trials quick and simple, but when we get done with them, the ones we win, it's $10 million per city for us. So we got a pipeline of about 10, and we're converting those now.
And it's not a SaaS model, though, where you can charge $1 a light per month or anything like that, or maybe charge them based on the savings they have, so split the savings kind of model. Have you thought about those models as well, or do people want something simple, they just buy it one time?
Yeah, both of those, and great questions, and we're right in the middle of all of that. So there's absolutely a SaaS model and energy savings model. The first step has been, it's sort of like Cisco, right? We want to own the network. Once we own the network, then there's all these other possibilities for improvements for our customers, and that gets to a SaaS model. And there's also all the possibilities of shared energy savings for people that don't want the CapEx. They don't want to own the infrastructure. I think very similar to what's happened in, say, computer networking. So yes, on the SaaS model, the first step, people really just want to be able to optimize get the basic dimming down. We provide that infrastructure. But we also provide SaaS software to do the analytics real time to then optimize it. And that's on a streetlight by streetlight basis that we charge. So for example, maybe they're saving 30% because they've deployed our platform. With some good analytics, maybe we take that 35% to, or the 30% to 35%. And we charge that based on this analytics model that we sell as an add-on. So that's the SaaS piece of it. Some cities can't afford streetlights. You go into them and say, wow, this is great. I'd love to save all the money, but we don't have the capital budget to put in new streetlights. With our streetlight manufacturing partners, we say, fine, we'll give you the streetlights for free. Just give us a portion of the energy savings. Because the number is so big, it's something that, well, there's money in it for us, there's savings in it for them, and actually it's a bankable. Banks will lend on these infrastructure projects. So we're starting to do some of those proposals now.
And since you did the SmartCamp, and congratulations on being, in the top 10 and then eventually the top 3 of the companies, it was super impressive to watch the product grow during the SmartCamp competition. You actually went public on the Australian Stock Exchange and raised $7.5 million there. Slightly different than the U.S. market, where nobody's going public and companies stay private at billions of dollars of capital raised. Tell me about that decision to go public, as it were, on the Australian Stock Exchange.
Yeah, so different objectives. So it's not a comparison to an IPO in the U.S. Simply put, we're raising our next round of financing so that we can scale the company dramatically, executing the pipeline that I talked about. It's all about raising capital. And for us, this turned out to be the lowest cost of capital. So we're raising $7.5 million as a result. It was all committed in advance. It's not an IPO, it's a reverse takeover. So everybody was lined up in advance, and this is a platform for us to raise the money. The cost of capital was lower than a VC. We had quite a few VCs that were interested in doing a Series A round with us. But this was just a little cheaper.
Yeah, we had these reverse merger type vehicles here in the U.S. for a while, and people did it at the during the last .com era. They would just take a company that already was public and then buy the assets of one or something. Is that kind of an interesting device?
Yeah, it's the same thing, and that's what we've done. We had a partnership with a company that had a very clean shell company. This has been real common for actually a lot of Singapore companies have done this into Australia, and a lot of tech companies. And part of the reason is, and the cost of capital comment as well, is a lot of the money in Australia, public investment money, has moved from mining, where there aren't returns now, and where they want to go is tech, and especially they want to go to tech companies that have a focus outside of Australia, which is gridComm.
Awesome. Well, listen, continued success. Congratulations on your performance in the SmartCamp. It's a great project. I think it's an important project, obviously, to save energy and to make cities smarter. And I think, if you can get, like you said, if you can get into some number of millions of these deployed, wow, there's a lot of different possibilities that you could build on top of this, and providing internet access and Wi-Fi to people all over a city, like New York is doing now with the old telephone booths, right? They're providing Wi-Fi over telephone booths because nobody knew what to do with the old telephone booth spaces.
Yeah, it's a good example, and it's basically what we do, which is use the infrastructure that's already there, because that's going to be the lowest cost way of doing these kinds of things.
How fast can the internet go? Yeah. How fast?
By the way, just curious how fast the internet is over power lines.
Can it, obviously, it depends on the fidelity, right? Some of them are dirty power lines or they have noise on them. But just in general, is this like DSL speed, or is it more like a 3G connection, or is it like a cable modem? How fast are these power line data solutions?
Yeah, so neither, right? This is not at all about internet replacement.
Yeah.
So it's not a Wi-Fi replacement. So just quickly, there's two kinds of power line communications. There's something called home plug, which you would use in your house as an internet replacement, and that may be, I don't know what it is now, maybe it's 250 megabits per second or something, big numbers. We don't do that. That's short range, high speed. What we do is called narrowband power line communications, which is communications at maybe 256 kilobits per second. I mean, we're orders of magnitude. So this isn't about internet. We have very little data that we communicate machine to machine. People don't even need that kind of speed. So it's not about video. It's not about security video. It's not about.
You're not sending Netflix
cards over the power lines. Yeah.
Sending little packets of data. Yep.
Awesome. Listen, Mike, continued success. Everybody check out gridcomm-plc.com and follow at gridcomm on the Twitter, and we'll be right back. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to This Week in Startups. My guest now is Yoli Avalos from Bquate, and I met Yoli because she was one of the 3 finalists for the IBM SmartCamp, which we just completed here in 2016 at the Launch Festival. And Bquate is a digital music distribution platform for content creators, and they let you take your music and distribute it to 50 different platforms, including Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Deezer, Google Play, Amazon. You get the idea. All those great platforms. And she did a really great job at the Launch Festival, got a lot of great feedback. Welcome to the program, Yoli.
Thank you, Jason. Very happy to be in This Week of Startups. Thank you.
Yeah, it's great to have you. Now,
you are a startup based where? Where is your startup based?
It's based and focused in Latin America. We started actually in South America, in Peru and Colombia specifically. Those are great beta countries. And then we jump into a largest market, which is Mexico. That is where I am right now.
So the internet industry in South America, how would you describe it? Is it behind the United States by 5 years or 10 years? Is it catching up quickly? What's the market like for being an entrepreneur in South America?
Yeah, it's definitely behind the United States, but fortunately it's catching up very fast. Not only for the ecosystem of entrepreneurship, but also because governments are really betting and supporting online payments and all that. So we started our company, a digital company, in a non-digital friendly country. So we have to face a lot of obstacles at the beginning. Like, we had a great platform. We were solving a real problem. Every artist, every content creator needed what we have for them, but they were afraid to pay online, or they just didn't have credit cards. So we have to create a solution for cash payments. When they go into our website, they create a payment order, and they go to any store, and they can pay in cash. As soon as they pay, we receive a notification, and we distribute their music. That was one of the obstacles that we beat. Yeah,
that's fascinating.
So people don't have credit cards, so you can't actually get the money from your actual customers. So show us a little bit of Bquate, and for folks who are wondering, it's Bquate, Bquate, Bquate.com. You can go check it out right now. Hopefully you speak Spanish, because the website's in Spanish.
Yeah, we're launching it in English very soon as well. We were focused on Latin America, but basically in the website you have the options to do YouTube monetization, which is this, and then also to distribute your music. So it's just 4 easy steps basically, and once the artists have been able to distribute their music to Spotify, iTunes and all that. It's just 5 steps, 48 hours. And then we're bringing transparency back into the music industry because they are going to be able to see a dashboard that looks like this. So to see how much money are they going to collect from their digital revenues from all the platforms. They can claim their money with one click, and we're going to distribute their money anytime they want. And they can also see the history of the previous months. Maybe this artist, for example, is in 50 platforms, but her music is being heard and discovered only in these platforms. So they give us a lot of information to take strategic decisions and focus on the platforms when it really makes sense for the artist. Also the source of sales, and we have this that is a curve of evolution. For example, the first line, the brown line, is Spotify. So if we can see that the artist was doing great in Spotify but now it's going down, we can support the artist by putting the artist in a relevant playlist or doing some strategic action that can start bringing the results up, as you can see in the graph. Also, we identified a need that the artist needed information and data to take touring decisions. So this map shows exactly how many streams and downloads the artist has in every country. Maybe they were thinking on touring to US, but their music is really being heard in Mexico. So that map helps them a lot. And of course, we have the detail where they can see cent by cent where the money is coming from. What I just showed is the dashboard for music, but we also have a dashboard for online video, for YouTube. So they see how much money they have to collect or claim. They can claim their money, see the history as a music platform, but they can also see how much money each YouTube video has made. The part in the left is the money generated in their YouTube channel. The part in the right is the money of the user-generated content. You know that fans are making videos using music of their favorite artists, and now is the mixing area where everybody's taking content.
And they can claim it, right? They can
exactly.
Claim
so we can claim, we have artists that their songs are in 600 videos, and we can claim for all those videos and all that money. We have the source of revenue. We have the evolution curve of the artist as well. So it's a very complete dashboard that they have control of their careers, because they have small teams usually, so they need data in order to take the right decisions and optimize the limited resources that they have. So
now,
this is
the
how
industry has classically been very challenged. It's very hard to make a living, and you're helping artists try to make a living, which makes me wonder, can you make a living if the artists are having such a hard time making a living? Is there really a great business here, or is it going to be a really hard, challenging business and you have to reach some massive level of scale? How many artists do you need to have on the platform for this to hit break even and support the 20 employees you have?
Yeah, that's a great question, and the answer is kind of tricky because it's not a matter of volume. I'm going to just give you an example. When we started in South America, we distributed 10,000 productions from 1,000 artists. When we moved to Mexico, we closed one label with 10,000 productions. So in Mexico, one client has the same amount of productions than 1,000 clients in South America, and is making the same amount of money.
So you're
getting people with large libraries and helping them get those online.
Exactly. We're working now with labels of all sizes. Honestly, this was created and conceived for emerging artists, but we have improved our platform, and now we're a solution for artists and labels of all sizes. So I gave you an example of volume, talking about South America, 10,000 productions. Then I give you an example of one client having a lot of catalog, but there is a third kind of clients that we have. No such large catalog, maybe 20 productions, 20 to 100 productions, but those productions makes a lot of money. So the answer is really by market and by genre. You know, there is a genre called Regional Mexican, for example, that generates massive amount of money because every YouTube video of this kind of artist has 280 million views, 500 million views, and the smallest video maybe is 170 million views, for example, you know? So we are making a lot of money with those clients. So first, we created a solution that is scalable, that is digital, that is for everyone. While we're talking right now, maybe 100 artists are distributing the music in our platform. But then we have the other part of the business that is the direct channels, when we approach largest labels and we provide them a solution, and we make a lot of revenue out of that while making revenue out of the volume part of the business, the scalable part of the business. How do you
charge? Do you charge a percentage of revenue, or do you charge them a fee every month like a SaaS business, like $500 a month to use the platform? How do you charge?
It's a mixed business model, revenue model. They pay a one-time fee for the distribution of their music to get their music to those channels. And then we commission 15% of all their digital music revenue and 30% of all their online video revenue. The revenues of YouTube and Vivo is 30%, and all the platforms of music, we commission 15%, because the platform pay us for us to pay them. And so we put that in the dashboard, and we take our commission, and then we pay the rest to the artists.
Got it. So tell me, what city were you part of the IBM SmartCamp effort in? Where did you win? Because you had to win one of the cities to be one of the 30 finalists and then eventually become one of the 10 and then the top 3. What city did you win? And what was that like? Where did it occur?
Yeah, it was first on Peru. We won locally, so we were the winners of our country. Then that took us to the regional. So we went in Uruguay. That was for Latin America. So once we win in Latin America, that's why we were able to jump into San Francisco, into launch scale.
And you guys have done great since. What has it like been? What has the impact been coming to the United States, meeting American investors, just being part of this whole IBM SmartCamp amazing gift that IBM gave to entrepreneurs around the globe? Has it had any kind of a positive impact on the company, on you as a founder?
Yeah, absolutely, yes. I mean, launch scale and also the meetings with you and the whole program has been like very impactful for us. First of all, because I remember when I went in October and we have all these activities there, it helped us to be focused, Sometimes we as entrepreneurs can confuse growth with activity. We think that because we are in a lot of contexts and we're going to our startup is very active, and that sometimes pushes to lose focus on the growth, on adding clients and revenue and all that. So I heard a lot of speakings in launch scale, about how they try different ways to acquire clients. Some of them did street team activities, like different situations. So we absorbed and we took from launch scale the ones that applied to our business, and it really, really worked. That was one thing. The other thing was about fundraising. After the experience of pitching, on IBM or for you or whatever, we changed completely the way we were pitching for investors. We were talking about the market and the opportunity and how big the market is going to get and all that, which is very important. But we let the product for the last part, when we probably already lose the attention of the investors or whatever. So we use kind of like your technique, and we put the product first. So with that, because the design and the platform and the dashboard is good, that grabs their attention and make the investor feel that they were talking with someone that has a reliable platform, a platform that can get somewhere.
Certainly, the pitch is so much more professional. The product
so much tighter. The value proposition seems so much crisper and clearer that for anybody watching it, it just becomes clear that Bquate is a very interesting and notable startup that's worth paying attention to. So congratulations on that. Everybody can go check out Bquate, BQUATE.com. And you can follow Yoli. Yoli is on Twitter. She's YOLY, Yoli, G, Avalos, AVALOS, Yoli G, Avalos on Twitter, and Bquate Music on Twitter, and Bquate.com, BQUATE.com. Go check it out. And we'll look forward to tracking your success over the coming years, Yoli. You are a force of an entrepreneur, and it's been great to personally see you blossom and do so well at IBM SmartCamp, Launch Scale, and the Launch Festival. It's truly been a privilege. We thank you. We couldn't do it without the amazing entrepreneurs doing all this hard work. So continued
success, and we'll see you all next time on This Week in Startups.
Yeah, thanks a lot for the invitation. We'll keep you posted. Thanks a lot for everything, Jason.